The version of you that built your business to this point is the same version that is keeping it from going any further. Don't get me wrong. You are smart. You are capable. You are proven. You've got the receipts, the testimonials, the track record, and you have the reputation. And here's what I need you to know and understand. That version of you cannot come with you on the next leg of the journey. Now, if you felt that in your chest, not in your head, this is the episode that you have been waiting for because you have been performing a version of yourself that worked. Listen, but you need to know and understand that that version is also the reason that your next level has not yet arrived. Hey, I hate to interrupt the goodness that's happening right now in this episode, but I need you to do me a quick favor. If this episode is blessing your life and business right now, would you please take a few minutes to rate and review the show? Listen, your words will help more seven-figure CEOs and seven-figure CEOs in the making find us and make the move to their next level. All right, thank you so much. Now, let's get back into the conversation because we were literally just getting this party started. Over the last 4 episodes, we have pruned the business. We pruned what you chose to release. We pruned what was taken away. We pruned what was still profitable but no longer aligned. And we pruned the relationships and the rooms. But here's what I need you to know and understand. All of that was external. It was all about what's happening around you. This episode is about you because at the center of every pruning season is an identity shift. And yes, you can change the offer, you can change your circle, and you can even change your strategy. But if you do not change the person that is running all of it, you will rebuild the same business in a different package. Here is the truth that nobody wants to hear. Your business will never outgrow the identity of the person that is leading it. If the person stays the same, then guess what? The business, it stays the same. It'll be dressed up differently, perhaps. Rebranded? Okay, possibly. But structurally, it'll be the same. And you will end up right back here in 18 months wondering why the pruning did not work. Listen, the pruning worked. You just have not let it finish doing its work. Yes, there is a reason that your strategy feels stalled, and it's spiritual. Discover your divine wiring, which informs how you lead, where you're sabotaging, and how to make the shift to scale with the Move to Millions Ascension Archetypes quiz. In just 3 minutes, you'll learn what's really blocking your money, your momentum, and your mission. Take the quiz today at movetomillionsquiz.com. You are listening to or watching the Move to Millions podcast. I am your host, Dr. Darnyelle, award-winning CEO of Incredible One Enterprises and the creator of several life and business-changing business systems, including the Move to Millions method. This is part 5 of our series called Pruning Season. Now, if you are just finding us here on episode number 5, I want you to go back to part 1. This series is sequential and the episodes only land if you have the full context from the first 4. Now, I need to tell you something that I have not said on this show before. The hardest part of my gap year, which I'm in right now, was not walking away from revenue. It was not closing programs. It was not even the rooms that I decided to walk away from or the loneliness that's sometimes accompanying making such a decision. The hardest part has been waking up every single day and choosing not to fix it. Because everything in me is wired to fix, to solve, to build, to strategize, to sell, to create. This is what I've been doing my entire career. I am the woman who built a multi-million-dollar company. I am the woman that the industry knows. I am the woman who has the receipts. And God asked me to put her down, not once, but every single day. So every morning I wake up with ideas, with strategies, with launch plans, with revenue solutions. And every morning my brain offers me a way back to the version of me that felt safe. And every morning, guess what? I have to tell her no, not today, not yet. Trust me. Every morning, I have to choose not to fix it, not to sell something, not to solve the problem, and not to hustle. I have to choose to be obedient. And obedience without evidence is the hardest thing that a high performer will ever have to do. Because when you are someone who has always been able to produce results, your identity is built on production. Ask me how I know, right? Your sense of self is attached to output. My sense of self is attached to output. You know who you are because of what you can generate. And when you stop generating, you don't just lose revenue. Y'all, you lose the mirror that told you were smart, the mirror that told you that you are capable, the mirror that told you that you are valuable, that you belonged. And when that mirror goes dark, you have to find a different way to get in touch with who you really are. This is identity pruning. It is not about letting go of a thing. It is about letting go of a version of yourself who needed the thing. And I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. There have been days during this here gap year where I do not know who I am. Not in a dramatic way and not in a crisis, but in a quiet, unsettling way where the woman that I have spent the last 20 years building and being has been asked to step aside. And the woman who was supposed to replace her has not yet fully arrived. This is the gap between who I was and who I am becoming. And this is where most CEOs quit pruning. Not because it gets hard, but because the uncertainty of becoming someone new feels more dangerous than the exhaustion of staying the same. Listen to me when I tell you, you do not need a new strategy. You need a new version of yourself. You need the version of you that understands that you cannot be born while the old you is still running things. And this is not just about spiritual observation. This is a documented leadership crisis. According to Deloitte and Workplace Intelligence, a study found that nearly 70% of C-suite executives are seriously considering leaving their role for one that better supports their well-being. 70%, y'all. Not because the job is too hard, but because who they have become inside of the role no longer matches who they actually are. And I'm here to tell you that in the first 5 months of 2025, over 1,000 CEOs left their positions, 19% more than the same period the year before. This is actually the highest number ever recorded of leaders who are leaving. Now, they're not leaving because of the market, and they are not leaving because they were asked to go. They are not even leaving because of competition. They are leaving because the identity required to sustain the role consumed them. The performance was literally eating them alive. And for entrepreneurs, guess what? The stakes, they are so much higher because a Fortune 500 CEO can leave the company and still be themselves. But when you are the founder, the brand, the face, the voice, the visionary, and one of the operators, leaving the role feels like you are leaving yourself because the business is not just what you do, it is who you are. And that fusion, that merger of self and business is the thing that has to be pruned. And not the business, the fusion of the two. You have to learn how to be whole without output. You have to learn how to be valuable without production. You have to learn how to be worthy without proof. And this is not a strategy shift, y'all. This is an identity resurrection. Now, let me be very, very clear and specific with you because there are 4 identity props that high-performing CEOs often refuse to put down. And as long as you are holding any one of them, your next level cannot arrive. All right, let's walk through them one by one. Prop number 1, the achiever identity. This is the version of you that knows who they are and what they have accomplished. The revenue milestones, the awards, the features, the testimonials, the case studies, the stages. Every achievement is a brick in the wall of your identity. And when you stop achieving, the wall starts to crumble. This is why so many legacy-led CEOs cannot get a good night's sleep. Not because there's too much to do, but because resting means the wall stops being built. And without the wall, you don't really know who you are. The pruning of the achiever identity is learning to sit in a room and not need anyone to know what you have built. You won't need the introduction. You won't need the title. You will not need the recognition. It's about just being present as a person, not a performer. Listen, I've seen this in my clients over and over and over. The CEOs who cannot take a vacation without checking email because the checking is how they know that they are still relevant and they matter. I'm talking about the founders who cannot stop launching because every launch is another brick in the wall. Or the leaders who cannot celebrate because they are already thinking about what the next thing that they will do will prove and how it will prove that they actually belong. If this is you, hear me. You do not have to earn your way into the next season. You have to release your grip on the season that just ended. It's the only way to move forward. All right, prop number 2. The fixer identity. This is the version of you who knows who they are because of what you can solve. You are the person everyone comes to, the one with the answer, the one who can turn things around, the one who can walk into chaos and create order just like that. And when there is nothing for you to fix, you feel purposeless. This was my primary identity prop for many years. And it is the one that God went after first during my gap year. Because as long as I was the fixer, I would always create things that needed fixing. I would always find problems for me to solve, and I would always be drawn to the complexity because complexity made me valuable. The pruning of my fixer identity, and yours too, is learning to sit with something broken and not touch it. To watch a problem unfold and not intervene. To trust the solution does not require you. This is not passivity. This is surrender. And trust me when I tell you that they are not the same. All right, moving on to prop number 3, the provider identity. This is the version of you who knows who they are because of what you give. You provide for your family. You provide for your team. You provide for your clients, and you provide for your community. Your entire sense of purpose is tied to your ability to resource the people all around you. And when resources slow down, your identity begins to shake, because the provider identity is not just about generosity. It is really about control. Cue Janet Jackson. As long as you are the one providing, you are the one who is needed. And as long as you are needed, guess what? You are safe. You have a seat, you have a role to play, and you have a reason to exist. Now, the pruning of the provider identity is learning that your worth is not measured by what you give. It is actually measured by who you are when you have nothing to give. And that person is still enough. And prop number 4 is the expert identity. This is the version of you who knows who they are because of what they know. You are the thought leader, the authority, the one with the framework, the one with the methodology, the one that people quote. And when the landscape shifts, when the methodology evolves, and when the industry moves past the thing that you are known for, your identity does not know what to do with itself. Because the expert identity is built on certainty, and pruning requires that you stand in uncertainty. Now, you have to actually be able to say, I don't know yet. To release the framework that built your brand and trust that what replaces it will be greater, even though you cannot see it yet. The pruning of the expert identity is about learning to lead from questions instead of leading from answers, from curiosity instead of from certainty, from becoming instead of having already arrived. Here's what I want you to know and understand. Your business will never outgrow the identity of the person who is leading it. And if the person leading it is still holding on to an identity prop that belongs to the last season, guess what? The business will keep circling the same altitude. Different strategies, different offers, different marketing, but the same ceiling. Because the ceiling is not in the business. The ceiling, my friend, is in you. So what do you actually do with all of this? Because I do not want you to leave with a diagnosis and not a prescription. So I want to share 3 practices that I am using right now during my gap year that are helping me to release my old identities without losing myself in the process and getting myself ready for what is next and on its way. Practice number 1. naming the version of you you are releasing. Now, you're going to have to give her a description, not a funeral, a description. Is she the achiever, the fixer, the provider, or the expert? Name her, name him. Acknowledge what has been built, honor the seasons that have been carried, and then say out loud, your assignment is complete. This is not about being dramatic. It's about being practical because you cannot release what you have not named. And most CEOs are being run by an identity that they have never consciously identified. Practice number 2, create evidence that is not tied to your output. If your entire sense of self is tied to what you produce, then you need to create a new category of evidence. Evidence that you are valuable without producing anything at all. A walk with no agenda, a conversation with no strategy, a day with no inbox, a week with no launch, a month with no revenue goal. Listen, I'm living this right now. I'm telling you, these are not luxuries. These are identity exercises. They are the reps that teach your nervous system that you are safe without output, that you exist without production, and that you matter even when there's no proof. If you have felt resistance just listening to me give you this list, then that resistance is an identity prop talking, and the rest is dangerous. Stillness is not laziness. A day without output is not a day wasted. All of that are lies if that's what you're telling yourself. Practice 3, surround yourself with people who see the version that is coming, not the version that just left. This one matters more than you think because identity does not form in isolation. Identity forms in relationship. And if every person around you is reflecting the old version of you back to you, then the new version is not going to be able to fully arrive. You need at least one person, one room, and one environment where the person you are becoming is the person they expect to see. Where your evolution is not a surprise, it has become the standard. Now, I want to talk for a moment about your Ascension archetype because your archetype does not just shape how you lead, it shapes who you think that you are, and the identity that you are most attached to is often the one that will be the hardest for you to release. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about the Move to Millions Ascension archetype quiz that I created, which quite honestly is becoming the foundation of the way that we communicate inside of our community. When you take the quiz, which only takes 3 minutes, by the way, you will learn which of the 5 archetypes is yours. You will either be the performer, the producer, the pathmaker, the powerhouse, or the prophet. And there is no right or wrong archetype. It is really just about the awareness of how you are divinely wired and what you need to know and understand to work with and not against your wiring in order to unlock your move to and beyond millions. Let's break this down. Okay. For my performers, if you already know you're a performer, hey performer, you are addicted to the identity of being seen. Your sense of self is built on visibility, recognition, and relevance. The pruning requires you to become someone who does not need the stage to know that they are valuable. And your next level is not more visibility, it is deeper authority. And authority does not need applause. If you are a producer, hey producers, you are addicted to the identity of being efficient. Your sense of self is built on systems, structure, and output. The pruning requires you to become someone who can sit in unstructured space without building your way out of it. Your next level is not more systems, it is more surrender. And surrender, guess what? It cannot be systematized. If you are a pathmaker, hey pathmaker, you are addicted to the identity of being visionary. Your sense of self is built on possibility, innovation, and what could be. The pruning requires you to become someone who can commit to one thing long enough to let it transform you. Your next level is not more vision, it is deeper roots. And roots require you to stop moving long enough for them to actually grow. If you are a powerhouse, hey, powerhouse, you are addicted to the identity of being the strong one. Your sense of self is built on capability, resilience, and never needing help. Yes, there is a reason that your strategy feels stalled, and it's spiritual. Discover your divine wiring, which informs how you lead, where you're sabotaging, and how to make the shift to scale with the Move to Millions Ascension Archetypes quiz. In just 3 minutes, you'll learn what's really blocking your money, your momentum, and your mission. Take the quiz today at movetomillionsquiz.com. The pruning requires you to become someone who can be held, who can receive, who can say, I cannot do this alone. Your next level is not more strength, it is more softness. And softness, let's be clear, it is not weakness, it is capacity. And last but certainly not least, if you are a prophet, hey, prophet, you are addicted to the identity of being wise. Your sense of self is built on discernment, depth, and spiritual clarity. The pruning requires you to become someone who can act without full clarity, who can move before the vision is complete, who can lead without certainty. Now, your next level is not more wisdom, it is more trust. And trust does not wait for understanding. Here's what I want you to know and understand. This quiz is your lifeline. It's going to unlock so many insights that are going to make a difference in your life and your business. And you can take the quiz today at movetomillionsquiz.com. It's 3 minutes, it's completely free, and it is going to unnerve so much for you, and it will help you to really exist in our community, because the identity that you are addicted to is the one that your pruning season is coming for. And you need to know its name before it arrives. Now, part of the reason that we have changed the way that we work, and part of what I'm working on during my gap year, is really resetting the infrastructure of the business around your Ascension archetype and putting you in a position to actually feel safe with yourself, with money, with wealth, and with leadership, so that you don't have to fix, you don't have to sell, you don't have to prove. And personally, I needed a space that could hold this version of myself. It has become so important to me in turning 50 to take my time really building a true affinity and awareness for who I be and who I was called to be. I spent the last 18 years building this business, being who I thought I needed to be in order to actually produce the results that I've produced. Listen, unless you are new here, you already know my story, that I have experienced all the things, right? I am one of 7. I'm the only one to graduate from high school, go to college, get advanced degrees, blah, blah, blah. I have had an affinity for understanding purpose since I was 10 years old. And I have known the anointing on my life for more than 30 years of my life. And even in and amidst all of that, I spent a lot of time in performance mode, being who I thought I needed to be so that I could be valuable, so that I could be worthy, so that I could be seen. Listen, I'm a middle child, and middle children feel invisible, and we perform just to know that we are there and that we matter. If you're a middle child, you know what I'm talking about. I spent my life this way. And there's something that just really started to click for me. First in my 40s, when I actually got to the point where I recognized that my first 40 years were me meandering in the wilderness. And all of a sudden, I came into the promised land. I watched my confidence heighten. I watched my sense of self heighten. And I watched me start to begin to shed the layers of my performative energy. But I was still performing in my 40s. Something about turning 50, something about realizing that I have likely lived longer than I will continue to live. Listen, I'm not trying to be morbid, but at the end of the day, I also don't even know if I want to be 100. So 50 years already done, who knows how much time is left? It became increasingly important for me to own my truth and to finally, once and for all, do only what I truly desire to do, so that I can really live into who I be. And that meant taking a year off, taking a year away from all the things that had built me. Listen, my name in these streets is synonymous with getting results, being transformation, and truly changing people's lives. And I am so grateful for all the work that we have done. And not that that is going to change as I've turned 50, as I recalibrate, as I finish my gap year and relaunch the business. But I've done a lot of work on me, and now I am calibrating the work that I do with others to match that. And it is why I have created new programming all around becoming the sanctuary. I will never forget when God gave me the vision for this program, this iteration of my evolution based on all the work that I have done. Listen, y'all, I was watching the Move to Millions docuseries. You might not even know that I created a docuseries, but several years ago, I created two different docuseries. Next Level Everything was the first one, and then Move to Millions was the second one. And in Move to Millions, it features 4 clients that I helped make the Move to Millions in that particular year. And I was watching that this past weekend, and I was just reflecting on all that I've done. And what I loved is that as I watched this docuseries from 5 years ago, I also noticed that I was saying the same things that God is helping me to evolve in my message today as I get ready to introduce the world to Sanctuary. Right now, I have a beta going in Sanctuary Core. And when we come back in January of 2027, we're going to have Sanctuary Core, we're going to have Sanctuary Business, and we're going to have Sanctuary Leadership for our corporate clients that we serve. Listen, I personally needed to become the sanctuary. That means I needed to feel completely safe in my relationship with myself, my relationship with God, my relationship with money, my relationship with wealth. Money and wealth are not the same thing. And my relationship with leadership and visibility. As I have been becoming a safe place for myself, I realized the significance of helping clients also become the sanctuary for themselves. And this is where everything began to change. Because here's what I know: a place where becoming your next level is safe is a place where uncertainty begins to shift, and where the gap between who you were and who you are becoming is not treated like a problem to solve, but as a process to hold. And that is what Sanctuary is all about. It's for legacy-led CEOs who are in the middle of an identity shift and need a safe space where the new version of them is not too much. I mean, it's the whole point. It is for the CEO who knows that their next level is real, but also secretly terrified of who they're becoming and who they must be in order to hold it. It's for the leader who has been performing for so long that they don't even know who they are without the performance. It is for the leader who built everything and is now being asked to put it all down and trust that what is coming next will be so much greater. I cannot wait to share Sanctuary with you. It is not open for enrollment right now, but the wait list is. So you can go and get on the wait list. We'll put a link in the show notes. This is about understanding who you are and what needs to be pruned in order for you to realize that version of yourself. In order to gain, you've got to be willing to lose. Now, before we close out this episode, I want to say this really directly. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are simply evolving. You are becoming, and becoming requires you to stop performing the version of yourself that the world already knows. And it's time for you to start trusting the version of yourself that only God can see in this moment. That is the pruning, not the business, not the relationships, not the strategy, you. And the moment that you are willing to let the old version of yourself go, the version of you that has been waiting in the wings to show up fully, confidently, and boldly will actually be able to arrive. So here are 3 things I want you to do this week. Number 1, if you have not done so already, take the Ascension archetype quiz, 3 minutes or less, movetomillionsquiz.com. I want you to know the identity that your archetype is addicted to, because that is the one that your next level is asking you to release. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to name the version of you that needs to be released, not the offer, not the program, the person. I want you to give yourself a description, the old version of you. I want you to acknowledge what you've built and say out loud, your assignment is complete. And the third thing I want you to do is I want you to share this episode with the CEO in your life who has been performing for so long that they do not know who they are without performance. They need to hear this. Say it with me. I am not who I was. I am becoming who I am meant to be. I released the version that built what I have right now, and I trust the version that is coming to continue my evolution. In the next episode of the Pruning Season series, we're going to talk about what grows after the cut, because we have spent these last 5 episodes in a hard place: the recognition, the resistance, the release, the loneliness, and the identity death. But pruning was never the point. The fruit is. And what is on the other side of this season is greater than anything you released in order to get here. Please know and believe that. In the next episode, we are going to talk about what renewal actually looks like. Not the motivational poster version, the real version, the one that only shows up after you have let everything go. I don't want you to miss it. Trust and believe you need it. And until we meet again, remember, millions are your birthright, and to access them, you need only move. I'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you for joining me for the Move to Millions podcast. Every 7-figure CEO has a divine design, and yours is waiting to be revealed. Take the Ascension archetype quiz today at movetomillionsquiz.com, and you'll uncover how you're wired for wealth and what needs to shift in order for you to make the move with grace and ease instead of hustle and grind. Now, if this episode blessed you, do me a favor, subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And always remember, millions are your birthright, and to access them, you need only move. Take care.